Once upon a time, in the shadow of the great Himalayas, there was a small village nestled among the valleys. In this village lived a young boy named Ananda. He was full of life and curiosity, always asking questions about the world around him. But lately, Ananda was feeling confused. No matter how hard he tried to make sense of things, life seemed overwhelming and complicated. Ananda would often sit by the riverbank, watching the water flow, wondering where it was going and why he felt so lost. He had heard tales of Buddha, the wise teacher who traveled across the lands, sharing deep wisdom with all who sought it. Ananda longed to meet him, hoping that Buddha could help him understand the mess of thoughts swirling in his mind. One crisp autumn morning, Ananda gathered his courage and set off on a journey. He traveled for days, crossing forests, climbing hills, and wading through rivers. At last, he reached a peaceful grove where Buddha was said to be resting. The young boy's heart pounded as he approached. Buddha was sitting under a giant Bodhi tree, his face calm and serene. His disciples sat around him, listening to his words with deep reverence. But as soon as Buddha's eyes fell on Ananda, he smiled warmly and motioned for him to come closer. Ananda bowed respectfully and spoke, "Great teacher, I feel lost and confused. The world is so big and there are so many things I don't understand. I try to be good, I try to be wise, but life is still confusing. Can you help me?" Buddha nodded, his eyes twinkling with kindness. "Life often leaves us confused, dear child. Sit with me and I will tell you a story." Ananda sat down, eager to listen. "There was once a farmer," Buddha began, "who lived in a village much like yours. One day his only horse ran away. The villagers came to console him, saying, 'What terrible luck! You must be devastated.' But the farmer simply shrugged and replied, 'Who knows what is good or bad?' A few days later, the horse returned, bringing with it a wild stallion. The villagers rushed to the farmer's house, amazed. 'What great fortune! Now you have 2 horses!' But the farmer only smiled and said, 'Who knows what is good or bad?' Later that week, the farmer's son tried to tame the wild stallion, but he fell and broke his leg. Once again, the villagers came full of pity. 'What a tragedy, your poor son.' The farmer calmly replied, 'Who knows what is good or bad?' Not long after, soldiers marched into the village, taking all the young men for war. But because of his broken leg, the farmer's son was spared. The villagers couldn't believe it. 'How lucky you are,' they exclaimed. But the farmer, as always, said, 'Who knows what is good or bad?' Nanda listened intently, but his face still showed confusion. 'I understand the story, teacher, but how does this help me with my own troubles? I am just a boy, and the world feels too large and complicated.' Buddha smiled softly. 'The world will always seem large, and sometimes it will be complicated. But the story of the farmer teaches us that life is not just about what happens to us. It's about how we choose to see it. We often rush to label events as good or bad, but the truth is, life unfolds in ways we cannot always understand. What seems like a misfortune today might become a blessing tomorrow. But how do I know what is the right choice when I am confused?" Ananda asked, his young voice trembling. Buddha paused and looked at Ananda deeply. Then, with a voice full of gravity, he asked, "Tell me, Ananda, what if I told you there is a secret path, a path that will make all your confusion vanish? Would you want to walk it?" Ananda's heart raced. "Yes, teacher. I want to know the secret path." Buddha's face grew serious. "This path is hidden. Few find it, and those who do often discover it not where they expected." Ananda leaned forward, his eyes wide with anticipation. "Where is it? How can I find it?" Buddha's gaze softened and faint smile, he said, "The secret path is not out there." He pointed to Ananda's chest. "It is in here, within your heart. When you are confused, when life feels overwhelming, stop and listen to your own heart. Just like the farmer, learn to accept the ebb and flow of life without rushing to judge. In that calm, you will find clarity. The secret is not in knowing all the answers, but in being patient with life's questions." Ananda sat in stunned silence. He had expected a grand revelation, perhaps even a magical solution, but Buddha had given him something far greater, a wisdom that could guide him through any storm, any confusion. Just then, a loud commotion erupted in the distance. A man came running towards Buddha, panting and desperate. "Master, my house has caught fire. Everything is burning. What should I do?" Buddha turned to the man with compassion in his eyes. "Go and help where you can. But remember, fire burns not only homes, but also our attachments. Do not let your heart catch fire with panic. Focus on what can be done, and trust that some things are beyond your control." The man hesitated for a moment, but then bowed and ran off, calmer now, ready to face his crisis. Ananda watched the scene unfold with newfound understanding. Life would always be full of unexpected twists and turns. There would be fires, both literal and metaphorical, but he now knew that the answers he sought were not in controlling the world, but in controlling his reactions to it. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the grove, Ananda stood up to leave. He bowed deeply to Buddha, feeling lighter, though the world had not changed. The confusion in his mind hadn't disappeared, but it no longer scared him. Buddha watched him go, the same gentle smile on his face, knowing that the young boy had taken his first step on the path of inner wisdom. And so, Ananda returned to his village, no longer burdened by the chaos of life. Whenever confusion stirred within him, he remembered the story of the farmer, the secret path, and Buddha's wise words. Life unfolds, and in our acceptance of its mysteries, we find peace. As we come to the end of the story, remember, life will always have its twists and turns, but it's how we choose to respond that defines our journey. Just like Ananda, we can find peace by accepting the mysteries of life and embracing wisdom from within. If this story spoke to you, take a moment to reflect. What lesson from this tale resonated with you the most? How do you plan to apply it in your own life? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below. If you found value in this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more wisdom and motivation, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that could change your perspective. Together, let's continue walking Motivation Mastery. See you in the next video.